these scars and say these wounds. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgotten. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? Nobody! Each other.
Welcome to the Big House, CFB Nation. How are you? I'm Andy, and we're back again with another episode. So let's get right into it. Now, Tony Alford was named the running back coach and the run game coordinator. Last week when we were on, we talked whoever they hire, they need to be a recruiter, and that is exactly what Tony Alford is. He leaves Ohio State and comes to Michigan. Now, Alford is one of the best recruiters in the game. He builds relationships with these recruits, and he's able to connect with these recruits. You know, he's able to go into these recruits' home, and he gets them to campus, gets them to commit, and he gets the best out of these. Now, we've seen at Ohio State, they bring in running back after running back after running back. He's had 9 running backs in the top 200 during his time at Ohio State. And he was also one of the longest tenured coach at Ohio State. So not only was it a great hire, you also weaken your main rival. Now, Ohio State was so worried about bringing in an outside offensive coordinator that they forgot to take care of their own. They took care of Brian Hartline, but they overlooked Alford. Now, Alford, he comes into Michigan, and he is going to be recruiting the best running backs in the country to come to Michigan. And he is going to use this opportunity to get that jump start into becoming a potential head coach down the line at another program. This was the hire that Sharon Moore needed. I would say Michigan has 3 top-class recruiters on staff. They have Sharon Moore, Ron Bellamy, and now Alford. So I am really pumped with this hire. More importantly, Jordan Marshall, he's the key recruit coming in. He was brought in by Mike Hart, and he reaffirmed his commitment to Michigan. He said that he is staying, that he has business to do at Michigan. So this is all systems go. Now, what does this mean for the running backs? At Ohio State, we saw the running backs, they got better with each passing year in the system. Tony Alford recruited Donovan Edwards, tried to get him to flip. He couldn't. Now he gets to spend a year coaching him. Now I expect big improvement from Donovan Edwards as a runner this upcoming season, with the coaching style now going to be developed. And I don't want to say anything negative about Mike Hart. Mike Hart is a legend. He is a Michigan legend, but Tony Alford is on another level. So we should definitely see a brand new Donovan Edwards this year as a runner. Now, like I said earlier, this bodes well for Jordan Marshall as well, because he is going to get a full year to learn in the system, get some coaching, get some reps in the games. And then 2025, it's going to be him as the featured running back. Now, what does this mean for the future? Michigan has a fluid offensive coordinator. He's not set in his ways. Kirk Campbell doesn't have a need to fit a system or a scheme. He wants to put his players in the best position to succeed. Now, as a young offensive coordinator, he is 37. That's what you're looking for nowadays. You're looking for an offensive coordinator who's open-minded, who's smart, who wants to put his players in a position to win. Now, Michigan does have a history of running the ball, and with Tony Alford coming in, I expect Michigan to be involved in these high-profile recruits year in and year out. And I expect Michigan to be that running back factory that Ohio State has been. Traditionally at Michigan, they'll bring in a key incoming recruit, and then the next couple of years, they bring in more of that depth piece, and then they try to grind and get someone that's going to be the next coming. That's what we've seen with this past cycle. We saw Blake Corum come in as the key guy, and then over the years, you had some guys that were kind of depth pieces, you know, a CJ Stokes. He transferred out to Charlotte. We saw this past offseason, Cole Cabana, Benjamin Hall. There were more depth pieces. And then this past season, they went out and they got Jordan Marshall to be the guy. And so, what I expect year in and year out is for them to bring in those quote unquote Jordan Marshall types every year and to have a fully loaded backfield. Now, at the end of the day, Tony Alford, he wants to be a head coach and he wants to get that elevation. So, I do see maybe by early as next year that he gets that promotion of the title of a associate head coach and get that title at Michigan, so he does stay there for a couple of seasons. In the end, I do see him getting a head coaching job somewhere else, probably at a G5 type of a school. But while he's at Michigan, I expect him to get promoted with that title, to stay a few years, help recruit, help bring guys in, and really help that culture. Now, Ohio State took him for granted, and Sharon Moore won't do that. I can almost guarantee that. And while he's at Michigan, we should enjoy his time here. Now, with spring practice, it opened up on Monday. So we have, 3 days under our belts and what we've seen so far. These are the things that we need to look out for. The first thing is the quarterback battle. I don't expect an outcome there, but here are the positions I'm looking at: the quarterback battle, the cornerback two position, the wide receiver rotation, and who the five new offensive linemen will be. The two offensive linemen that I really like and that I think can make that next jump and potentially end up being the NFL one day: left tackle Andrew Gentry. He was used as that swing tackle, that six offensive lineman when they needed to go big. He was the guy that they put in. I expect him to fully take over that left tackle position and then guard Josh Preby that we've talked about, the transfer coming in from Northwestern. Now, we have to remember we need to treat these spring practices and the spring game with a grain of salt. What I'm looking for is who the coaches bring up and who they don't bring up. What I'm looking for are these returning players, how they rotate in. The spring game is meaningless. We saw last year. Remember Peyton O'Leary, at wide receiver? Remember Benjamin Hall? He was hyped up. These guys really didn't do anything. So the game itself is meaningless. I just want to see everyone get out healthy, no injuries, and then focus on to fall camp. Now, we did get some quotes here. Offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell, he took some time to talk to the media, and a couple of things that I wanted to highlight was, as expected, he said that the quarterback battle will probably go into fall camp, and we said this was the expectations. Uh, what it does, it keeps anyone from transferring out. It keeps Jaden Denegal from transferring out. It keeps Alex Orji from transferring out. It just keeps everyone home, everyone inside, and for the entire coaching staff to really get a sense of who these guys are, who is best suited to win the job. Now, it was mentioned that Kirk Campbell said whoever is going to be the quarterback, they're going to utilize their strengths. So they're not going to be rigid as they have been in the past. So to me, what that means is if it is Alex Orji as a starter, we should expect more of a running kind of offense. If it's Jaden Denegal, I would expect him to be the drop back passer. And then I would expect Alex Orji to come in with the RPO Wildcat packages just to give some extra spring to the offense if it is kind of stagnant. And then if it is Jack Tuttle, then that just means the other guys really were not ready. Now, the offensive coordinator, Kirk Campbell, he also mentioned the following players as the building blocks for the upcoming season: running back Donovan Edwards, tight end Colson Loveland, and then two wide receivers, Samaj Morgan and Tyler Morris. Campbell also said that he needs to put Donovan Edwards in a great situation to suit his skill set. What I've been saying for 3 years now: line him up out wide. He has the best hands on the team. I want to see him being used in motion, pre-snap to kind of confuse the offense. I really do believe that that's what they should do. They should do that with Donovan Edwards. They should do that with Samaj Morgan. Just move these guys pre-snap, get the defense looking one way, and then go the other way. Now, Campbell also mentioned that he won't pigeonhole himself. He knows what he has. He knows the kind of playmakers he has, and he wants to put them in their best light. And that's what we want to see here because the old way, while it was great, it also caps some of the upside that these players have. And so, with a new offensive coordinator, a possible new type of a system, it should bring some excitement to Michigan. Now, also, defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, he also spoke to the media. He said that safety Rod Moore was one of the smartest players on defense. He also mentioned and comped him to Eric Weddle as far as the football IQ goes. I'm really excited to see what Wink Martindale does on defense. If he's going to be blitzing a lot, if he's going to bring different schemes in for the blitz, I'm really excited to see what they bring in. Now, we have come to the part where we are talking about the profile segments. Now, the first profile we are talking about is freshman running back Micah Kaapana. He's 5'11, 195 pounds. He's a three-star in the composites, rated as high as running back 27 and as low as running back 80. He averages out to be running back 39 in the composites. To me, what I view when I see him is he'll spend the first year getting into the strength and conditioning program. I wouldn't expect much action from him. At best, he'll be the sixth option on the depth chart. What I do like about him, he does have a high motor. He is a tough runner. So I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he makes a splash as a special teamers and being a blocker and helping out with that unit. This goes back to earlier when I say Michigan typically brings in one high profile running back every couple of years, and the other guys they bring in are more the depth pieces to kind of keep that unit strong, and he is kind of that mold. Now, the next profile we are talking about is the next man up, and that is going to be cornerback DJ Waller Jr. He is 6'3, 205 pounds, and he was part of the 2023 class. He played 5 games last year, and Michigan did burn his red shirt, so that was quite interesting. The fifth game that he played was against Nebraska, where the game was out of line, and so I kind of view that as Michigan kind of liking him because if they felt he needed more seasoning, if he needed more time, they wouldn't burn that red shirt. But by him getting that fifth game in, it kind of showed me that they kind of like him a little bit. He got to see 5 games of action, got 11 tackles, 1 pass deflected. Now, as a high school prospect, he was a hybrid corner safety. He also played wide receiver. On the defensive side, as a senior in high school, he had 47 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 interception. While watching him and his tape, he is a physical corner. He has good ball skills. I do like that he tracks the ball. He is very instinctual as a defender. He is a willing tackler, and he did play box safety, but he also has some cover skills. Now, being that 6'3", 200 plus pound frame, he can be tight at the hips at times. So I wouldn't expect him ever to be fully lined up on a speedy wide receiver, but he does cover a lot of ground. Now, this past season, he did line up at cornerback, and I like him as a press physical corner in this Wink Martindale system. Now, he does have a chance to be that opposite corner to Will Johnson. We'll have to see more of the camp buzz and what's going on and who ends up being the starter opposite Will Johnson. Now, the returning player profile of the day is defensive lineman Kenneth Grant. He is 6'3", 339 pounds. He's a 4-star in the composites, part of the 2022 class. This past season, he had 29 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception. He had a sack in the national championship game, and he is going to be that next guy in line. He's going to become that new run stuffing tackle that Michigan always has, someone that takes on 2 offensive linemen to free up a blitzing linebacker. He's going to be that defensive tackle that just eats up a lot of ground, is very physical, very robust, and gets that late round 1, early round 2 type of a draft capital. That is my expectation of him. Now, the throwback player of the day is quarterback Denard Robinson, Shoelace. He was perhaps the only bright spot during the Richard Rod era. And my favorite memory of Shoelace was the first ever night game at Michigan Stadium versus Notre Dame in 2011. He was magic that night, had 446 total yards, 338 passing yards, 108 rushing yards, 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 on the ground. He accounted for 99% of the entire offense, and he led a remarkable comeback, and Michigan won that game 35-31 on a last-second play. That was just amazing. Now, Shoelace brought excitement to the Michigan program the entire time that he was there. He was a very electric player. He was a threat to take it to the house with every snap. He was a 4-year player from 2009 to 2012. His best year as a passer and probably overall was his sophomore season. He completed 62.5% of his passes for 2,570 yards, had 18 touchdowns. Now, as a runner, he was better than any modern day quarterback that you can think of. His career at Michigan, he rushed for nearly 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns, and in that sophomore season, he rushed for 1,702 yards with 14 touchdowns. Now, Shoelace would be selected 135th overall in the 2013 NFL Draft, and he was chosen by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shoelace would spend 4 years in the NFL before turning to coaching. In 2019, he was the Jacksonville University offensive analyst. In 2020, he went back to the NFL. He would be the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive quality control coach. In 2021, he would move kind of to the front office for the Jags. He was their scouting assistant. And then in 2022 through current, he is the assistant athletic director of player personnel at the University of Michigan. Shoelace is home and he's enjoying his role with the university. And that is our throwback player of the day, the legend that is Denard Robinson. Now, in conclusion, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Welcome to the Big House. I want to give a special thank you to Dwight Peoples for that intro. I want to give a special thank you to Nino Brown for producing me, the entire CFB Nation family for welcoming me. And until next time, who's got it better than the CFB Nation?
Got a question for you. Who's got it better than us? No way!